This last weekend at Mini Extravaganza, AMG gave us a lot of previews and sneak peeks into upcoming Star Wars Legion stuff, the most exciting of which, I think, for me, was finally getting a look at Mando, aka Din, and Grogu. So that's what I wanted to run down today, because this guy looks pretty good.
A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando.
Hey there, Star Wars Legion folks. Welcome back to another Lazy Legion Sunday here on Dice Commando. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you've been rolling a lot of crits this last week, as well as checking out the Mini Extravaganza information, whether it be directly or indirectly. It's kind of hard for those of us who have a job to tune in, but you know what? There's lots of places to get the info, and you know what? Talking Mando today. He's pretty good. So go ahead and run through the stuff that we have seen. I do believe that. I mean, obviously we haven't seen all his command cards. We've just seen the one, but I do think he's gonna. I think he's gonna have a jetpack. I think he's gonna get a jetpack, but we will see. All right. So Din, 105 points. 5 health, 3 courage, surge to crit, surge to block. All sorts of upgrade slots, right? Training, comms, gear, weapon. Arsenal 2, bounty of course, impervious, you'd expect. Independent aim and dodge 1, and tactical 1. Okay, so then his pistol, 1 to 2, 2 reds and a black, lethal, long shot, and versatile, right? So remember, versatile is the one that lets you shoot when you're engaged. Right, you can use it. You can shoot while you're engaged. Right, make a ranged shot while engaged in melee. His vibro knife has lethal 1, so I'm not generally a fan of lethal. That said, this guy looks like he's going to get a boatload of aim tokens for like doing what he wants to do anyway. Right, so you're going to get an aim and a dodge for not issuing him an order, and then he's going to get an aim when he moves. So I think it's, with 2 reds and a black, I think that lethal 1. I think you're probably fine turning that into Pierce. You could make it a range 3 if you wanted. Fair enough, right? The only thing being with the versatile, if you're engaged or you're probably not moving. Anyway, you get it. So yeah, this guy looks pretty strong for 105 points. So before we go into the other stuff, I just wanted to throw up Boba Fett, the new Boba Fett card, because it's an easy. I don't know. When I look at him, I look at Boba, and I'm like, that's an interesting price point, right? So if you really compare these, and I've put them up now, if you compare these guys side by side, they look very, very, very similar in terms of their card. Boba obviously is 120 points. You have to assume you're paying more for, their surge chart's the same. He has the extra gun on him and arsenal, so you don't have to attach anything, right? So I think the point drop for Din being 105 makes sense. We obviously have somebody else who you might want to stick him with. So they look very, very similar. Obviously, Din's only a speed 2, but again, I think he's going to get a jetpack, probably, right? And like speed 1, give him additional speed and jump or something to that effect. But even if not, I think that these two are basically pretty even on their price points, right? If you really compare the old Boba. Yes, there's a new Boba, and we'll talk about that in a later episode. But I think they pretty much look right on line with each other. Not having the arsenal to, because we haven't seen all of his stuff, right, for sure. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that arsenal 2 develops. Let's just get there. All right, so let's go to Grogu. So Grogu the Child for 17 points, and he has Hunted. So this is really interesting. It's like a mini game by adding him, right? So he adds the +1 health to Din, which is cool. And then when he dies, right? Because remember, he would have to die. You can assign, but then he'd have to die before Din would. You basically create like a capture the flag type mini game with his body, right? It's very interesting. So I actually think that's cool. I don't know how that'll end up playing out and stuff. Hey, there's a victory point there on the table, so we'll see what happens. But then his latent power, right? At the end of your activation, you can gain 1 suppression token to roll 1 red defense die, right? On a surge, Choose an enemy unit at range 1, and that unit gains 2 suppression and 2 immobilize. Pretty good. On a blank result, remove a wound or poison token from a non-friendly droid trooper unit at range 1 of this mini. Very interesting. So, right, so you're getting on the surge or on the blank, but not on your hits. So, very interesting there. We'll see if he ends up getting played or not. I honestly don't know. I don't know. I'll have to see him on the table, and also we'll have to see what else Din comes with, right, in terms of how many points you're going to put into the guy. All right, let's go and talk about his Amban rifle. I'm probably saying that wrong, but this is melee 3 black. And but his rifle's 3 black, right? So this one's really interesting, right? So it's immobilize 2 and suppressive, right? But that would all come from the weapon itself. And it also has double action. So for his entire activation, if you're not engaged, perform a speed 1 move, then choose an enemy unit in line of sight. There's no range limit on that. Roll 1 red attack die, and if the result is a hit or a crit, the chosen unit suffers 1 wound and gains 1 suppression token. So I'll admit I didn't get this at first. Kind of had to get, kind of like this seems like really bad, but they don't get a chance to use dodges or deflect or anything like that, right? So it seems pretty good in certain cases, right? If you're shooting a stormtrooper, probably not, right? But if you're trying to put wounds into a Force user, yeah, that's a different story. So I admit it did take me a while to get that. So it's only 10 points. Maybe you use it. I think, with the speed 1 move, it's kind of interesting because you can basically have him pop out, shoot infinite range across the board, but it's going to mean that he's moving up slower. Because you got if you're putting money into the arsenal, you want him to be doing that. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Yeah. And then again, when you do close to melee, then you get the 3 black. Because remember, you have the arsenal, so he has his vibro knife, which is lethal. So you're throwing 5 blacks in melee with the arsenal too, if you're not shooting, right? So cool there. And then Whistling Birds. This card is crazy. So Whistling Birds. This is 3 pip. This is Din, so you would have to issue him order here, so he would not get his independent, which is kind of interesting. So during his activation, he gains action, choose up to 3 enemy units at range 1 and in line of sight. For each chosen unit, roll 1 white attack die for each mini in that unit. That unit suffers 1 wound for each crit, hit, and surge. So if you found yourself in the middle of a battle droid swarm, that's a lot. That's a lot. This one's pretty cool. This one's pretty cool. How effective is it going to be against, if you're doing it against, it's still a die per unit. So, or per mini, die per mini, So yeah, I think it's good. That's cool. It's cool design either way. So, all right, let's go back and talk Din. I think this guy's really good. And again, remember, we haven't seen the rest of his toys, and I'm positive that there's going to, I'm positive there's going to be more toys, right? So if he gets some other, so again, I don't know how I feel about the Amban rifle, but if he has some sort of other toy that is like a ranged weapon, this guy I think is going to be really good. So, the advantage, someone's, we'll go and throw Boba Fett up again, just for a reference point, because, it is what it is. Being able to get Din into position is really the only true, when I look at this, I think, assuming that there's another weapon, if you make the assumption that there's another ranged weapon in some fashion that Din can have, I think he's better than Boba, the only disadvantage being that Boba can get into position easier, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how this develops. I'm sure it'll be a while because it's July, so we'll probably get more info on Din probably in September-ish, right, end of summer. Probably start seeing some of his other stuff start popping up on the social medias. So we'll start to get a fuller picture there. But at least out of the gate, this guy looks pretty strong. So, your Rebel armies, your Empire, looking pretty good. So, all right, well, that's the rundown of Din today. Let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited about him? At the very least, I think people are excited that we're finally seeing this stuff. It's been a long time coming. Like, it's one of the more popular Star Wars properties that we've seen in a long time. So it's good to finally get that out on the table. I'm sure people will be picking them up just to paint them, at the very least. So, but I think a lot of people are going to be trying to make this guy work. So anyway, that'll do us today. Let me know what you guys think. If you're excited, if you like him, if you agree, if you don't agree, whatever it may be. If nothing else, folks, go Commando.